Yes, another Thursday edition of the show. And we got to talk about the latest with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Of course, there is Thursday night football. And of course, you can catch all the action tonight on 97.3 ESPN, or the lack of action tonight. Coverage begins at 7:30. As always, you guys join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. All right, couple things I want to get to here as we start the show. First of all, we do have an Eagles injury report. We need to discuss some of the details of that, as well as some other NFL items with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us in less than 20 minutes from now. And there's a couple of points I want to get to, because I want to first get to the news, which is Darius Slay and Julio Jones did not practice again today. And the Eagles keep listing Slay as needing rest. And typically when a guy has a knee issue and he only needs rest, it's typically either an inflammation issue or a bone bruise. Usually. I'm not saying that's what's going on right now, but I'm saying that's are usually the two scenarios. And I think going into the Cowboys game, there should be some concern with that. Julio Jones being injured, I almost could care less. I don't know if this guy is not being used properly, if he's washed. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, he's giving you a lot of nothing. And at this point, you're better off just bringing in Zach Ertz and telling Julio Jones to sit on the bench. I mean, if you were to look at Julio Jones and compare him to Zach Ertz this year, you'd realize that Julio Jones has done next to nothing. And Zach Ertz is at home working out with the same number of touchdowns this year as Julio Jones. They both have one touchdown. I mean, if that's the case, just bring in Ertz. He's taller and he's a bigger athlete, for goodness sake. I mean, I don't understand the whole Julio Jones thing, but I digress. But the Slay thing I am concerned about, because the issue with Slay right now is you can't go into that Dallas game with any backups in the secondary. The one thing Dallas does really well, excuse me, the one thing Dallas does really well is throw the football. Dak Prescott is having a phenomenal season. And why on earth would you want to subject your team to Dak just utterly shredding you? Okay? And Slay is going to be an important part of that, because for as talented as CeeDee Lamb is, the dude drops a ton of footballs. I can't remember a time in my life where I can think of a guy dropping as many passes as often as CeeDee Lamb does. But he's still a phenomenal talent. He's a great route runner. And if Slay is not 100%, there's concerns, man. There are serious concerns about this team defensively. Now, on the flip side, the other part of the news that's good today is Zach Cunningham, for 2 straight days now, has been a limited participant at practice. And I was listening to John McMullen talk with Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash show on 97.3 ESPN. And John brought up the point that, Cunningham, he's not exactly getting all the snaps, all the playing time, but as Andrew DeCecco put it on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, if Cunningham's getting reps, that means he's good enough that he should be ramping up the go for this Sunday. So there are some positives right now for the Eagles coming into this game. The other positive is Goddard and Calcaterra, both full participants at practice again. So that means the Eagles' 2 best receiving tight ends will be available on Sunday when the Eagles play the Cowboys. And Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on the call here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m., kickoff at 8:25. But one person who might not be there, who might actually have an indirect impact on the game, well, Mike McCarthy had appendix surgery, and there's no timeline for his return. And ESPN's Dan Orlovsky brought this up on SportsCenter earlier today.
I do not believe it affects anything during the week. They can still do everything necessary. I do believe it's a big deal, potentially, if he's not there on Sunday. If you asked one of the main reasons why the Cowboys have had this success offensively, and certainly Dak Prescott, it's Mike McCarthy on game day. We have all raved about how good he has been play calling wise and tying things together and getting in a groove and seeing what the counter is. I've talked about this countless times. So if he's not there, that is a massive loss for that offense.
There's two fascinating points to that. Number one, traditionally, we have all looked at Mike McCarthy as a guy who's not a good in-game manager. We have looked at him as somebody who does not do a good job at in-game handling of what happens during the game. And so for a guy like Dan Orlovsky to turn around and say, if McCarthy is not around on Sunday, it could be a negative for the Cowboys. It has to make you wonder, first of all, what is the drop-off from Mike McCarthy to Brian Schottenheimer then? Because what you're basically saying is that Brian Schottenheimer is so poor of an offensive coordinator, or that he is such a negative compared to Mike McCarthy, that the Eagles could actually have a leg up on the Cowboys in that scenario. The other side of it is, if the Cowboys are so dependent on Mike McCarthy being out there for their offense to function at the level that they're functioning at, then frankly, maybe Mike McCarthy needs to be Coach of the Year candidate. I mean, I don't look at McCarthy that way, though. So for to hear somebody who covers the league, who played in the league like Dan Orlovsky did, speak that way about Mike McCarthy, it's a little shocking for me. It's a little bit of a surprise because, again, people like myself look at Mike McCarthy as a coach who is not elite. People like myself don't look at him as some elite game planner or some game-changing play caller. People like me look at him as a guy who does certain things very well and other things not so well. He's not a great game manager. He's horrible at time management. He makes some poor decisions during the flow of a game when it comes to adjusting at times. He's not a head coach who's great in those areas, but he has had a lot of success in the regular season having high-powered offenses, not just with Aaron Rodgers, but now with Dak Prescott. And before that, when he was the offensive coordinator for the Saints over 20 years ago, that Saints team with Jim Haslett that went to the postseason, everybody was shocked out of their mind. But Mike McCarthy did that. Mike McCarthy got them to the postseason in part because, and it's really he laid the groundwork to become an NFL head coach with those Saints teams, because during his time with the Saints, they put up some really good offensive numbers. And, at the time, a lot of people credited Jim Haslett for, wow, look at the turnaround of this Saints team from nothing to into the postseason and blah. They were third in the NFL in points scored one of those years when they went 9-7. So it's forgotten about that the reason why they went 9-7 was basically because of Mike McCarthy and the offense that he was calling. So as soon as they lost McCarthy, the whole thing fell apart. They fired Jim Haslett, and a year later, Sean Payton comes in. So McCarthy does know how to call an offense. And if there's that much of a drop-off, then you offset that drop-off with the addition of Shaq Leonard. Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown played against Leonard for years when Leonard was with the Colts. A.J. Brown was with the Titans. They saw each other twice a year, and A.J. Brown was asked what it is like to have Shaq Leonard now on the Eagles.
You always got to worry about him punching the ball out. That was always a talk whenever we played the Colts, and he was the leader. So just having him over here, and I'm sure, just watching from afar, you can tell like the leadership value that he had over there in the Colts, and just having it in the locker room, in this locker room, is going to help us out a lot.
Is this a perfect storm? Is Shaq Leonard going to change the defense's ability to function so much and improve it so much that now Mike McCarthy not coaching, Darius Shaq Leonard on the field for the Eagles? Could those things be the factors that win or lose this game instead of the factors we've been talking about half the week? It's something to think about. Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. I'll check in on the text board a little bit later this hour at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Eagles, Cowboys, a busy NFL schedule, and more. We'll talk about Rob Maaddi next here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Well, with it, he's got to be careful. He goes to Melton. Melton's going to get a jam. Oh, yeah. The 76ers on the move. The Anthony Melton throws it down.
The Sixers host the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, Phillies fans, the countdown to pitchers and catchers reporting is officially underway. This March, Phillies Sports Trips wants you to join them as they escape the cold weather and travel to spring training in Clearwater Beach, Florida. This incredible package includes round-trip airfare, hotel, tickets to 2 Phillies games, an all-inclusive tailgate, a yacht party, and so much more. You're not going to want to miss this experience. Don't wait to book because these spots will sell out. Visit PhilliesSportsTrips.com to book your trip today.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-294-8831 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-294-8831. That's 800-294-8831. What do you have to lose? Call 800-294-8831. Again, 800-294-8831.
Open enrollment is happening right now, New Jersey. Join the many residents who are getting quality, affordable health coverage through Get Covered New Jersey. If you need health insurance, this is the time to enroll. Get Covered New Jersey offers increased plan choices and more savings than ever. 9 in 10 people get financial help for plans that include preventive care, prescriptions, emergency services, and more. And many pay $10 a month or less. Find your plan at getcovered.nj.gov.
Honey, can you swing by the post office and grab some stamps?
Done.
And drop off these packages?
Sure thing, honey.
Oh, and get the tracking info.
Got it.
But you haven't moved.
I know. How great is that?
This holiday season, the Postal Service is closer than ever with convenient ship-from-home services like label printing, free package pickup, and delivery notifications. You can send more holiday joy from the comfort of home. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Ship from home at USPS.com/holidayjoy.
Spoiled supermarket meat, sawdust like fillers, artificial preservatives.
Hold on there. I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. You don't want your dog eating any of that. These potentially harmful ingredients are found in many of today's popular dog foods, but not in Nature's Blend, a freeze-dried raw dog food with real cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Nature's Blend is designed to help support your dog's playfulness, healthy skin, soft coat, easy digestion, and youthful mobility.
Your dog will go bonkers over Nature's Blend savory flavor and texture.
For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free festive holiday dog sweater with select orders. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
I guarantee it with a 100% 90-day return of your purchase price.
Offer available with select orders while supplies last. Text fees may apply. You may receive up to one additional text. Text stop to opt out. Paid for by Dr. Marty's Pets.
Your palace awaits. Caesars Palace Online Casino is now live. Download today and register using code Radio Launch. New users get a $10 sign-up bonus, a 100% deposit match up to $1,000, and 2,500 reward credits after wagering $25. Must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or West Virginia. Minimum wagering within 7 days required to unlock bonuses. Full terms and wagering requirements at CaesarsPalaceOnline.com/promos. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In West Virginia, all games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Dell's Cyber Monday event is their biggest sale of the year. Shop limited time deals on laptops like the stylish, innovative XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform. Plus, save big on ultra-sharp monitors and top-brand accessories. It's the perfect time to upgrade any home, business, or gaming setup powered by Intel Core processors. Shop now at Dell.com/deals to take advantage of huge savings and free shipping. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal. Get a $50 gift card good for use at Sunday Gravy in Linwood for just $25. Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com. You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. Heating, cooling, air conditioning, plumbing, whatever you need. One call does it all. 609-641-6440. I literally saw flurries earlier today when I was driving into work. So if you're not sure if your home is ready for the cold winter, call Jenkins and find out how you can save more with rebates thanks to local utility companies and save on your utility bills. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440 and visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. Well, one man doesn't worry about flurries anymore where he lives is the birthday guy. Rob Maaddi had his birthday this week, and he's back here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, welcome back. Happy birthday. How you feeling, my man?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, but it has been a little bit on the chillier side. So no flurries or anything of that sort. But I'll take the 60s. It's pretty cool. I like it. I've been enjoying it, and it's a good time.
Rob, you're still rocking the Pat McAfee sleeveless look, so you're fine.
I'd say, yeah, you don't need sleeves in Florida, man. You don't. Yeah, you definitely don't. That's for sure.
Rob, a couple of things I want to get to with you here. First of all, obviously after the Eagles lose to the 49ers, I want to get your perspective on that because a lot of people, they're torn. Was the game on Sunday a bad day at the office for Philadelphia, or are the 49ers really that much better than the Eagles?
I think it's a combination of bad day at the office, revenge game in San Francisco's mind, and the Niners really know how to exploit flaws on a defense and in a team. And from the defensive standpoint, they knew how to attack the Eagles and to exploit some of the weaknesses they have. I don't think they're that much better than the Eagles, 42 to 19. And I don't think they're what was the score against Dallas when they pounded Dallas, San Francisco did earlier in the season. I still think, yeah, all three teams are going to be the top three teams going into the NFC. And I know Detroit's in the mix, but Detroit's defense to me is a very scary issue. The Eagles have built themselves up a nice enough cushion to where they can lose this week to the Cowboys on the road in Dallas and still end up winning the division and getting the number one seed if San Fran will slip up at some point. They got a game against Baltimore. And even if they don't, I felt like the Eagles, I think I said this to you earlier in the season, that I thought San Fran can win that game because it's the emotion and everything else. And where the Eagles were coming from, back-to-back games, and the Eagles could still go out to San Francisco and win. However, they got to address some areas of concern, and those are some things that they got to take care of. And when you look from, let's start offensively, they have not been in rhythm. They have not been clicking. They have some issues to figure out on offense, and they're not producing that the way they should have or they have been. And we keep hearing week in and week out, even when they got off to the 10-1 start, and I mean they're still only 10-2, that we're not playing up to our standard. We're not playing up to our standard. Maybe they're not going to get to that level, Josh. I don't know that they're going to be the offense of 2022. 2023 is a different year. The run game looks different. The passing attack is been a little bit shaky at times. And then at times, Jalen and A.J. Brown can light it up. So the 49ers are a very good football team. I don't know how they lost 3 games. Well, I do. They didn't have Deebo Samuel. They didn't have Trent Williams. They missed a kick on one of those games against Cleveland where they slipped up. But these two teams are going to be right there with each other. And one of them is going to have to beat Dallas to play each other. So that's why you want that number one seed, because that one, first, it gives you a week off, and then it avoids that matchup of facing Dallas before you get to face each other potentially in the NFC Championship game. So I love the addition of Shaq Leonard for the Eagles. I know he's had some injury setbacks, and he's not the player he was, the All-Pro, the first 4 seasons of his NFL career, but he's still only 28. He's a playmaker. He's a linebacker of his caliber, hasn't been on the Eagles in a long time. So I don't think he's going to be a downgrade at all. He's an upgrade. So I think that could be a wild card, a factor in how the Eagles face off against San Fran the next time around.
You mentioned the offensive rhythm. I want to get your perspective on the fact that there's a lot of guys who have played in the NFL, who have been on different television shows, who have criticized the Eagles' offensive line. The Eagles' O-line is not executing as high of a level as last year. So with that being said, do you, Rob, think the Eagles' O-line has taken a step back?
They're not the dominant unit that they were last year. They're still very darn good. That can be part of the equation when the offensive line is not giving Jalen all that. But there were times, though, Josh, against the Niners where Jalen had all day to throw, and no one came open. And that's a good secondary, banged up, depleted secondary, too, that they were facing in San Francisco. So, yes, the offensive line has not played at the 2022 level, and I don't know that they can get back to that. Lane's a little older. Jason's a little bit older. That's where they all are at this point, and they didn't have Cam Jurgens for a while. That's going to contribute to it. They're going to have to figure out a way to run the ball consistently, but also be committed to the run enough to where they can establish the run, because that really helps their pass game. And when Jalen is a threat to run, and I don't know how much of a factor his knee is in this equation and where he's at with that, and how he's feeling health-wise, because it's certainly not 100%. And I know David Carr said it this week that the Eagles would be better off if he rests and he's healthier, and you wait for you start Marcus Mariota right now. You can't do that till you lock up the number 1 seed. You just can't. Once you lock up the number 1 seed, it's sit down, Jalen, get healthy, get ready to go. But they got to wait until they get to that point. If they get to that point, still, I'd rather have a 72% Jalen Hurts than 100% Marcus Mariota or whatever Jalen's at right now. But I think that's kind of contributing to where their offense is right now. It's like something's a little bit off, and they haven't been able to fully click. Parts offensive line, parts pass game, parts run game, and part of it, like, you can't criticize Jalen in Philadelphia without being called all kinds of names and everything else. Like, God forbid you say one critical word about Jalen Hurts. I think that Jalen's not certainly playing at the 2022 level of Jalen, where he was a strong MVP candidate and a number 2 finish runner-up to Patrick Mahomes. He's not playing at that level. I don't know if it's the knee. I don't know if it's defensive have adjusted to him, but that's where he's at too right now.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, at Rob Maaddi on the Twitter X platform. I wasn't going to touch on the David Carr thing, but you brought it up, so I got to mention this because I said earlier in the week, I don't look at Sunday's game and take Jalen out of the MVP race. He still has more passing touchdowns than last year, more rushing touchdowns at this time than last year. Yes, he has 44 fewer rush attempts than last year, but his numbers are still highly productive. I can't take one game. Like, am I supposed to act like because Mahomes is having a down year that he stinks? No, I'm not doing that. And I think that there's this, you can criticize Jalen Hurts and simultaneously say he's having a great season. And I don't understand why it has to be one or the other. And I feel like what David Carr said on NFL Network was just he took it too far. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, the Eagles can't win a championship if Jalen's not at his best. But it's a whole nother thing to say Marcus Mariota can go out there and win you games. And I feel like the problem is that, as you said, Rob, there are these people out there who, if you say anything negative, they just react.
Yeah, and listen, we live in that era of wanting to say things that are going to go viral and getting all that attention, and it is what it is. But I agree with you. You don't take Jalen Hurts out of the MVP race because of one game. But let's look at the facts of how it usually comes down to in the MVP race. The last 6 winners have all been quarterbacks from a number 1 seed. 8 of the last 10 winners have been a quarterback from the number 1 seed. The 2 within that 10-year span who weren't on the number 1 seed were also quarterbacks, because we know it's 10 years in a row since Adrian Peterson won it. 10 years in a row, it's quarterbacks. They were quarterbacks from a number 2 seed. So the only person who I think can challenge, whether it's Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, or Patrick Mahomes if Patrick Mahomes, and I don't see them getting the 1 seed, but if Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill is getting some attention. He's not going to be the MVP, but he's getting some attention. He could take votes away from Tua, just like Christian McCaffrey and Debo could take votes away from Brock Purdy. The only one who I think could win it and not be on a team that's a 1 seed or that 2 seed would be CJ Stroud, because he's been able to uplift the Houston Texans, a team that was absolutely in the dumpster for a few years, and he's come in and they're 7-5, and now with the Jaguars and Trevor losing and Trevor Lawrence's ankle being what it is, they're in contention for, if they somehow surpass, I don't think they will, but if they somehow surpass the Jags and win that AFC South, I don't care if they're the 3 seed or the 4 seed, the way CJ Stroud's playing, he's got a real legitimate case for NFL MVP. So when you look at that from that equation, I'm not taking Jalen. We don't know how they're going to finish it. They can go to Dallas this week. Jalen can throw for 350 and 3 touchdowns, run for 2 more, and they can win that game 42-41. And all of a sudden, he's going to be the front runner for everything, and that'll change everything. So as I tell the voters, we don't want your ballot back before the end of the regular season, because you can't make a decision before the end of the regular season.
You mentioned Shaq Leonard earlier. I did not want to overlook that, Rob, because there's been a lot of debate about why the Colts let him walk and what he has left in the tank. Because, when you ask the former players, right, the guys in the league, current and former, they all say, whether it's A.J. Brown in the locker room this week or it's a guy like Jeff Saturday, they all talk about this guy still has something in the tank and his intelligence will overcome whatever the physical shortcomings is. But you have other people who say, oh, well, the Colts didn't see a value for him anymore, and why would a playoff team cut a guy if he doesn't have value left in the tank?
Yeah, and there's certainly something to that, but I wonder how much of the conversation and the things that were happening behind the scenes. And remember when he requested the conversation with Gus Bradley, and they had it, what went on, what kind of egos are involved there, and whatever it may be, he became available, and the Eagles made a move and brought him in. Now, I certainly don't expect him to be the guy he was 3 years ago. I don't expect him to be the guy he was 4 years ago, but he's only 28. So even though he may have lost a little bit, lost a step, and he's coming and he's had those injuries, he certainly isn't that guy. He still should be able to give you a boost. And it's not just I take a little bit of stock in the fact that you got former players and you got people who played with him who tell you he's got something left in the tank, and what he brings to the table from a defensive mindset, from the wherewithal, the knowing what to do in a crucial situation. And the Eagles just don't have that kind of caliber, that kind of resume at that linebacker position. Someone who's been able to do what he can do. And even if he's not able physically to get himself in a position to do it, like, how much better is that going to make other guys? Also, offenses have to account for him on the field. They're not going to go attack him the way or stay away from him the way they would have a couple years ago, but they still have to account for him and what he can do. I still think that he's going to be able to really motivate and encourage and inspire some of those guys in the linebacker room and help them out. And everybody you talk to who's played with him and knows him talks about his leadership quality. I never want to discount that. I think that plays up big in a locker room that helps teams out, especially down the stretch in December and in January. So Eagles should be really happy that they ended up getting him over Dallas, because I think he could have made an impact there for sure too.
Speaking of leadership quality, is it time for the Eagles to bring Zach Ertz home?
Man, a lot of people have been asking me about that, and I'm surprised that Zach didn't sign already. And I think that there's a number of teams that could certainly use someone like Zach Ertz right now. He's obviously going to be looking to play with a contender. Baltimore was the obvious candidate because they lost Mark Andrews, and that hasn't happened yet at this point. I know San Francisco is a team that would be interested in and is interested in Zach Ertz. And they got George Kittle and what they could do, and how Kyle Shanahan could, as innovative, right, as he is, and all the motions and the formations and everything that he does to add another weapon like Zach Ertz. Again, it's not the Zach Ertz of 4 or 5 years ago, but he's still a top quality player at that position who knows how to win and brings that all-important leadership. It would make sense for the Eagles. He's familiar. He knows the organization. I know there was bad blood at some point in that relationship between Zach and the Eagles and Howie Roseman. And I think that may have been fixed a little bit, mended along the way. Zach is a bigger person than most, and he's very forgiving. And I think he was able to move past some of those things that happened in the organization. It wasn't all just about contract. I will say that too. It wasn't just about the contract. It was about some other things and what transpired that whole era and that Eagles team that won the Super Bowl and some of the guys letting go and some of the things that were being said about some people that not necessarily true and all that stuff. But I think he's a big enough guy. He certainly moved on from that. It makes sense. And even if it's a homecoming where he's not the star player who's catching a 4th and 1 pass to prolong the game-winning drive in the Super Bowl and then catching the touchdown pass, he's not that guy, but I still think he would add some value for sure.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, a couple more for you before we let you go. Guy you know pretty well, Dan Orlovsky, was on television today and said that if Mike McCarthy is not available for the Cowboys this Sunday, which is there's a chance he's not after having his appendix removed, that it could hurt the Cowboys offense on Sunday. What do you think of that? Do you think that is something that is real, that no Mike McCarthy equals Cowboys not as effective?
Well, I think he's effective. He's been an effective play caller for the Cowboys. And it took them a little bit to get used to Mike McCarthy and how his demanding ways as a play caller and just the rhythm that he would get them in. And anytime there's a change at play caller, it's going to be a little bit of a setback. Sometimes it could be a boost if someone comes in and he's calling the plays that are all going to be clicking and working and everything else. In this case, the way that they have been playing and the way Dak has performed lately and just listening to some of the conversations in the post-game interviews and what Dak has said and his praise of Mike McCarthy, I think they're on the same page and they're really right where they want to be right now. And for him to potentially miss time, I do think that would be a little bit of a setback for the Cowboys. Ultimately, whatever the play's called, you got to go out there and execute it. But if there's any advantage that he's been able to give them, they lose that. And I don't know. It's pretty odd to have a coach miss a game other than the COVID era when Stefanski missed a playoff game for the Browns, I think it was, in the 2020 season. But hopefully, he had COVID. Hopefully he's okay and can get back to adult appendix and what's Mike McCarthy, like late 50s? I don't know what the recovery time is for that.
I'm pretty sure that it's not 3 days. So I mean. Yeah. Although if he was the Eagles coach, they would probably be like, "Oh, just rub some dirt on it, be a tough man, and go out there and coach." I don't know if they have the same attitude in Dallas about the Cowboys coach. Rob, before I let you go, I did want to ask you because also, one of the conversations in the national media has been about a guy the Eagles saw 2 weeks ago, Josh Allen. There's been a lot of consternation about, is Josh Allen, how good is he, right? And I want to ask you, what is your perspective on how we're evaluating these athletes? Because it feels like there is a bit of a double standard when it comes to guys. You mentioned the fact that, for some people, if you say anything negative about Jalen Hurts, people lose their mind, right? And it feels like it's so easy for people to be negative about a guy like Josh Allen, but not criticize other players. So do you feel like Josh Allen is an example of there being a double standard when it comes to these athletes?
Yeah, it's a great question, Josh. I do. And there are some things that I see that I feel isn't fair. And it's a different era right now in this world. And you got to be careful with how you criticize, I feel, and who you're criticizing. I think Josh Allen is overly criticized. I think some of it is deserved. I think Josh Allen has not lived up to, but as a whole, the Buffalo Bills have not lived up to their expectations. You can criticize Josh Allen for being turnover prone. The numbers are there. Right there. The numbers are. He's led the league in turnovers since whatever year, and those numbers don't lie. That's where Josh Allen's at. But I think sometimes people come at Josh Allen a little bit harder, where they may be reluctant to go after someone else. And Josh, to me, is a guy who is got a little bit at that Brett Favre gunslinger mentality, right? And it was okay 10, 15, 20 years ago, but you got to protect the football now in the NFL a whole lot better. There's too many quarterbacks who can do a good job of protecting the ball, and sometimes you can't play hero ball the way he tries to play hero ball. He reminds me a lot of Carson Wentz, just the way big guys who played. Carson didn't play hero ball till 2020, and it certainly didn't work out for him. It blew up in his face. But and a guy who could run the football, and Josh will do that. But yeah, to answer your point, I think there is a big time double standard in how some guys are attacked and who's doing. Like I see sometimes, Josh, I feel that there is resentment from former players who are not quarterbacks, and they are relentless or overly critical of today's quarterback. And a lot of it stems from contracts. Hey, I played and I busted my tail doing this and that, and I made X amount, and here are these guys making 35, 40, 45, $50 million. And I think they come at them harder from that standpoint. Now, you have to ask each individual person what motivates the venom in their criticism. But I do see that. And I think Josh sometimes, again, deserves the criticism he gets to a point. But I feel like nationally, especially some former players, really enjoy attacking Josh Allen.
He's Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. Follow him on the Twitter X platform at Rob Maaddi. Of course, he is the host of the AP Pro Football Podcast. Like, subscribe, download wherever you get your podcast. And Faith on the Field, Saturday and Sunday mornings here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, always appreciate you jumping on. We'll talk next week.
Thank you, Josh. Have a great weekend, buddy.
You too. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check back in on the text board. I see a text from Paul in Ocean City. Paul, I'll get to you and others coming up next. 609-403-0973 and your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Ryan Leaf and I are set for the Patriots and the Steelers from Pittsburgh this week. Mike Tomlin's squad still in the mix for an AFC playoff spot, but fell to 7-5 last week. Can they get back on the winning track against Ezekiel Elliott and the Patriots? Join us to find out on Thursday Night Football.
Listen to Thursday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Come enjoy some delicious additions to our fall menu. Feast on our sweet fire barbecue wings, served with our tasty chive ranch dressing. Our Thai chicken sandwich with pickled red onions and sweet lime dressing, served with a minced slaw. Or Chickies and Pete's hot honey pepperoni pizza with extra pepperoni and delicious hot honey. For game day or any day, come see us all fall at the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Come taste our unique flavors for fall with some delicious additions to our cocktail menu. Try a pumpkin white Russian with Stoli vanilla or a tasty tequila apple pie with butterscotch schnapps. Or how about a fireball apple cider sangria topped with ginger beer for game day or any day? Come see us all fall long at the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi. The whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 800 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 800. LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know? Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smokers Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smokers Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon.
It's your last chance to trade in any iPhone in any condition for the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium and iPad and Apple Watch SE, all on us with Unlimited Ultimate. Go to your local Verizon store now. iPhone requires Unlimited Ultimate plan first. Service plan required for iPad and Apple Watch. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line required first. Less $1,000 trade-in/promo credit. Up to $459.99 device payment purchase with new line on eligible plan required per Apple Watch or iPad. Less up to $459.99 promo credit per device applied. 0% APR. Additional terms and conditions apply.
The holidays are the happiest time of the year. That is, unless you or your loved ones are miserable because of colds, sinus infections, or allergies. This holiday season, give the gift of better breathing with Navage. What makes Navage so effective? Well, unlike cold and allergy drugs that might take a long time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage provides fast relief from sinus congestion in 30 seconds flat. Navage doesn't just relieve symptoms, it attacks the cause by sucking out the germs, allergens, and viruses trapped in your nose that are making you feel miserable. Best of all, Navage does it naturally, without drugs. Wash away your cold and congestion problems this holiday season. Add Navage to your gift list so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Spoiled supermarket meat, sawdust like fillers, artificial preservatives.
Hold on there. I'm veterinarian Dr. Maaddi Goldstein. You don't want your dog eating any of that. These potentially harmful ingredients are found in many of today's popular dog foods, but not in Nature's Blend. A freeze-dried raw dog food with real cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Nature's Blend is designed to help support your dog's playfulness, healthy skin, soft coat, easy digestion, and youthful mobility.
Your dog will go bonkers over Nature's Blend savory flavor and texture.
For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free festive holiday dog sweater with select orders. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
I guarantee it with a 100% 90-day return of your purchase price.
Offer available with select orders while supplies last. Text fees may apply. You may receive up to one additional text. Text stop to opt out. Paid for by Dr. Marty's Pets.
pets.
Hey, Josh Hennig here to tell you about how Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning has helped your favorite football team. Did you know that over 40 years ago, John Jenkins Sr. invented the heated seat that football players sit on today? Yes, the Jenkins family created a way for football players to weather the extreme cold. Now imagine what Jenkins can do for your home. Call Jenkins for plumbing, drain cleaning, and leak repairs, gas furnace, boiler, and hot water heater replacements. Call Jenkins today at 609-641-6262, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Check in with you guys before we get out of here. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Paul from Ocean City says the Eagles need to start strong this week. Hopefully they watch the tape, how Metcalf carved up the Cowboys secondary when the Seahawks, and they can leverage Brown to do the same. Coverage and pass rush must improve for a win. This will be a telltale game for us. Paul in Ocean City says, I got Eagles winning 27-20. Go Birds. Paul, a couple things to react to what you said there. I think the point you made about how looking at how the Seahawks were able to score against the Cowboys is an excellent point, because the Seahawks scored 35 points against Dallas. The 49ers only allowed the same Seahawks team a week before that to score basically a one touchdown. So, yeah, the Cowboys defense can be had. And I think the Seahawks showed you that they can be had. And we all know the Eagles have a better offense than they do. The Eagles have a better offensive line. They have a better running backs overall. They have a better quarterback. And their receivers are better than the Seahawks. The Seahawks have good receivers. You know, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Jackson Smith and Jigba had an amazing game in that game. But how much of that was him? How much of that was the Cowboys defense? I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. The other thing that you said, Paul, is interesting is that the coverage and pass rush must improve. I specifically say the coverage because I still hold to the fact that they didn't do a good job at playing the underneath passing game. The 49ers picked them apart from the second quarter to the end of the game in the underneath lanes. They were too far off the line of scrimmage. There was not enough zone coverage underneath the first down marker. There was too many sticks defense situations. So to me, I think the coverage is a huge part of the conversation moving forward. Dan and EHT at 609-403-0970 on the text board says the Eagles need to play well and not get smoked. If it's anywhere near as bad as the 49ers game, then we have a problem. Sure, in the most literal sense, you have a problem if you get blown out by the 49ers. But I still contend, I think the 49ers was also a bad matchup and a bad scenario. You have to wonder if Zach Cunningham played, if the Eagles would have executed more efficiently. Like, if those two field goals at the beginning of the game were touchdowns and they got 14 points instead of 6 points out of those two situations, how does that game play out? I think that the Eagles play a better game. They can win games. And I think in many ways, the Eagles lost that game as much, if not more, than the 49ers won that game. Nothing against the 49ers. They have an amazing talent, and they're a horrible matchup for every team in the NFL. But there's no reason why they should have lost as much as they did. It's their own fault. They self-sabotaged themselves. The coaches, the players, everyone. All right. Thursday football. Real quick. I like Patriots team total under 12.5. Okay? I don't like the over-under in this game. I feel like the 78% of bets are coming in one direction. That's the under. That tells me that too many people are picking one side. It tends to make me a little nervous. I think Patriots under on the point scored is the way to go because the Steelers defense is that good and the game is in Pittsburgh. Coverage begins at 7:30 tonight on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
Are you ready for Eagles football?
He's firing and it is Eagles pick it up.
We are too.
I walks in for the touchdown. Beautiful execution.
Beautiful. Listen to the Philadelphia Eagles with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick all season long on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station. Brought to you by
Jenkins Plumbing and Heating at jenkinsonSons.com. Piccalilli Inn. Nobody beats the Piccalilli, Route 206 in Chemong. Frank Vincent Windows, Roofing, Siding, and Doors make your home look new again. BMW of Atlantic City. Shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com. Ocean Casino. Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games in Ocean Casino this football season. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. And First Bank of Sea Isle.
97.3 ESPN FM is your official home in South Jersey for Eagles football. 97.3 ESPN FM.